Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to Crypto Scoop FM. I have been away for the better part of late October and early November, partly because I wanted to take a break, and it was Diwali in India, so that's a big celebration. And my wife had her birthday, so I wanted to do something special for her. So for almost a month, I was in northern Thailand, and boy oh boy, was it so much fun! This was in many ways a trip I will remember for the rest of my life. Anyways, while I was away, a lot has happened in the crypto markets. Bitcoin has tanked from what 120k now, trading at about 86,303. Ethereum has gone down significantly, and we're beginning to see an entry into the bear market, right? A bear phase. But the other day I was reading X and I saw this very famous Wall Street chart, and let me see if I can find it for you guys. But basically, it was showing you how people react to changing prices, right? So, which stage of the cycle are you in? Are you in hope, or are you in complacency? Have you moved into denial? What is it? Right, so let me search for it, the Wall Street chart. And it was extremely cool, guys. And I want to start this video with that before I kind of dive in. All right, I got it. So, check this out. But first, um, it's broad generalization. Human minds are inept when it comes to understanding complexity. And truth be told, there is nothing more complex than the financial markets, guys. At one end of the spectrum, I mean, I can pretty much say everything is a function of fear and greed. So you have other YouTubers showing you fear and greed index. You have other YouTubers showing you, hey, look, we're in extreme fear. The AI bubble has burst. The October 10th liquidation led to some like really large market maker going under, and as a result, his Bitcoin positions, which were leveraged for cash to participate in the market, is now being sold to recover, right? And so that is basically creating the supply pressure in Bitcoin. Now you have this whole FUD around MicroStrategy that the MNAV for the company is now kind of trading close to one, and if it starts dipping further, they will not be able to issue new shares, and so the whole value creation, the infinite money glitch that Sailor has so successfully tapped into, goes away. But all of that aside, when I look at this chart, I correlate this with the kind of content that is showing up on my Twitter feed these days. It's a combination of three stages, right? So there is one group which is clearly complacent, right? They still think that this dip is just a bit of a cooling off, and that we're just gearing up for the next rally. And so this is just, this isn't capitulation. This is just the fact that we were in some kind of an overheated stage. And so we have to cool down before we go into the next rally. I think these people are just plain old stupid, or don't really understand how markets happen and how they respond to all of the information. The reality is that October 10th was a never before event in crypto. It was a never before event in crypto because we have not seen those kind of liquidations happen in the entire 15-year history of the crypto markets. The last big liquidations, if I go back to 2020, 21, when COVID happened, that's when we saw about $2 billion of liquidations. But this was $19 billion, guys. That's how much? Almost 10x higher than what was before. So clearly, people who are still complacent about their holdings are not going to make it. Now you have the next one, which are people who are anxious right now. These were people who were overly leveraged. Now I'll be honest, I was leveraged as well, but it's all about risk management. I only put in that kind of money into my leveraged positions, into my positions that I could afford to lose. So if you're one of those who is trying to gamble in one move, make lifetime money, then you're just too stupid to understand how money works and how markets work, right? Nicholas Taleb, he talks about black swan events, and he says it's not that we don't understand black swan events. It's that we are incapable of changing our thoughts, our opinions when the outside forces show you clearly that something is broke, right? And this is exactly why after October 10th, you have some of the largest YouTubers, crypto YouTubers, and everybody else saying that this is not the end of the bear market, that this is no longer a 4-year cycle, that this is a 5-year cycle. So these are people who are filled with some kind of a hopium, and I would actually classify them also in this group of anxious people, because clearly they were anxious about their positions, and they were worried that if they don't continue to educate people or influence them, telling them that this is not really a bear market like slide, what the f, right? So this is the second group, people who are anxious about the market today. Then there is the third category, right? People who are in complete denial. These are people who are looking at the charts. They're reading through all of the content that is being pushed by kind of kaito yappers on X, and who believe that they have invested in like really good projects, and no matter what, they're going to do really well. Come on guys, wake up, because what's happened is across the board, no matter how good or bad your projects are, money has moved out, people are risk off, and I will show you proof shortly that this is indeed true, right? So this is where I wanted to start first. Now, but this is not the meat and bones of my video, because we are in a slumber. Things are not looking well. You also know that the probability of a rate cut is kind of not yet clear, because on one side you don't have enough data coming from the government, because there was a government shutdown. Yes, there were some employment numbers coming in. I think unemployment rose to like north of 4%, so that's one thing. But then we don't have inflation numbers, right? And in the absence of clear data, I think it's going to be challenging for the Federal Reserve to make a very clear case for a rate cut. So while yes, they did announce in the last Federal Reserve meeting that they will end QT, right? They will end quantitative tightening, which is basically raising interest rates to reduce money supply and thereby tightening the grip on inflation. But on the other hand, they said this is not a done deal. They said that we're going to look at the on ground situation, and based on that, we'll decide what we need to do. So we're not that we're still a few steps short of it. So that's the reality, that we don't know if there's going to be a rate cut. Even if there is going to be a rate cut, would people come back to crypto? Again, an open question. Nobody knows. So it's right. What's happening here, right? On one side, you have a liquidity sweep which is happening. On the other side, there are not enough bidders. And that's it, guys. That kind of, for me, explains the current state of the crypto market. But what's unique is that this is the time that we can employ to educate ourselves on the opportunities that this market provides. And that is one of the opportunities that I want to show you today. And so, the project that I want to discuss today, or the narrative that I want to discuss today, is what is known as an ownership coin, guys. Now, I've been looking at MetaDAO for the better part of the last 3 months. And initially, I will be honest, I dismissed them as yet another pump fund clone, or another project trying to ride the whole internet capital markets meta, right? So you had Believe coming in. There was a lot of interest on coins that were launched through Believe, but then we saw what happened, right? The founder basically just ran away with $40 million. Next, you had a bunch of other early stage experiments all trying to do something like this, but nothing really unfolded. And now you have MetaDAO. And the reason why I'm talking about MetaDAO is because for the first time, I think there is a project which has found a genuinely interesting way to put a second life into the into the whole ICO meta. because initial coin offerings back in the day were fair launches, people got early access, and that's why they made a lot of money. But of late, all of the coins that have launched have been high FDV, low float launches where the team does, very bad stuff, whether it is, OTC sales or, VCs dumping on us or VCs getting a better deal, insiders getting a better deal than us. So MetaDAO basically flipped that entire concept on its head and they said, hey, look, the whole idea of crypto is that you can go out there and raise money for an idea and have a community that works for you, becomes your evangelists, and amplifies that idea for you. And that powered by prediction markets, which many are calling as the predictor of truth, can be used to decide and govern the treasury where the money raised from the public would basically be secured. So under this launch coin, under this MetaDAO ownership coin thesis, the things that you need to know is any project that raise money on MetaDAO, right? They can't withdraw that money suo moto. That money is logged in a DAO treasury. That's number one. All of the token holders have to basically participate in futarchy decisions, and I'll show you in a minute how it works. But basically, let's say there is a new proposal to to basically enter a new market, and now you need to spend $500,000 on marketing or on something else. That decision goes to the DAO as a question, and people then have to use their money to basically buy yes shares or no shares. And after a certain time period, if yes shares are more than no shares, then the proposal resolves. So this is basically how a prediction market works. So MetaDAO combines ICO with prediction markets to create this new kind of model for fundraising and governance, which is unique and new. Now, is futarchy a hugely successful way of governing? Well, we have seen DAOs before, right? We've seen that only a handful of people with control basically decide how treasury is governed. But futarchy flips that. Instead of having an outsized influence just by my allocation of tokens, that's no longer true. The only way it works is how much I'm willing to bet with real money. And that to me is a game changer. The second part is the team does not get any money, right? The team, as you can see, basically get a monthly budget. And this monthly budget can actually be increased by the DAO. Otherwise, there is a monthly budget that they can withdraw for monthly operation costs. And the last thing is all of the IP of the protocol is basically owned by the DAO. And I want to tell you why this is important. Crypto Twitter was abused by this recent acquisition, which was done by Coinbase when they acquired Vector.fun. Now, none of the token holders of Vector.fun got anything because they basically did an acqui-hire where all of the team members of Vector.fun were acquired. They got the money and the token holders were left to fend for themselves. So I'm pretty sure that token is going to zero. This is a big problem because the protocol, the underlying protocol, the IP, the technology is not owned by the DAO. And this is another thing which makes MetaDAO special because everything that is being built from a technology frontier perspective is owned by the DAO. So here is a DAO, it owns the underlying IP, it owns the token, the team members do not get any allocation, they start with 0%. And the only way they can get allocation is by achieving market cap related targets. And that has to be approved by the DAO. No decision is taken just by mere allocation. Decisions are taken via a prediction market model. So combine those two and you have a new model which is raising money, which is governing those projects, and which is owning the underlying IP. That to me is a fantastic combination. Now, I want to show you a few things which are very important. The first one I want to show you is Avici. Avici is a neobank, guys. This was one of the most successful launches on MetaDAO. So their target was to raise $2 million. They ended up raising $3.5 million. And the total capital that was committed to the Avici fundraise was more than $30 million. So people committed $35 million, right, to this project, right? The team raised 3.5 million, and the team is getting a monthly allowance of 100K to build the project. And if I go further down, you can go and see, you can go and understand this mechanism. But basically, if I go to decisions now, you will see all of the recent proposals, right? You will see what proposals are kind of going on. You can also explore like different projects where decisions are happening. And this is basically, if I go and filter for, let's say, Avici, right? Okay, so there are no proposals for Avici right now, but as and when there are proposals, you'll basically see something like this, right? Like fund the omni-pair security audit, and people are voting with money. And if yes results, then only funds are moved out, right? So this is the cool bit about it. Now, Avici, basically, guys, and I was looking at some numbers. Let me see if I can find them for you. Yeah. So Avici is in the neobanking space. They're currently in beta, guys, but look at the metrics. The spends on their crypto credit card have exceeded $1 million, and the average month-on-month growth is 35%, 70% retention for active users. That's crazy because you don't see that in crypto, right? Total on-ramp volume, USD and Euro combined, has been more than 700K, 5,000 cards and 9,000 plus signups. So this is extremely cool because you see there is a product with fundamental growth. You own the coin. There is no team token. There is no insider play. And look at the performance. Like, at a time when Bitcoin is going like this, look at Bitcoin, guys. Like 4 straight weeks of red candles. Actually, six if I ignore this. And look at the selling volume that is happening, right? Even even past week, and even if I look at the daily, it's very clear that Bitcoin is in a downtrend, right? But look at Avicii in the same period. When the entire market is tanking and collapsing, Avicii has hit a new all-time high. And this is simply because, and I think Game put it much better than I did, and he says that in these markets, the premium on a token is really just the market front-loading faith in a team's ability to manufacture future fundamentals. This is very important to understand, right? Because Avicii was in the same narrative that Plasma was. And let me just open the Plasma token because it's important to look at it. Look what happened to the Plasma token, guys. This is a team which is backed by Tether, one of the largest stablecoin companies in the world. This is a team which raised billions of dollars, and this is how the chart looks like. Now compare this to Avicii. This is a project which basically just raised what this team raised 3.5 million dollars, right? They're trying to create a fully on-chain bank. The team holds no token, and look at the performance. Now, while Avicii is a very interesting project, the thing that you need to realize today is that with projects like Meta, with projects like Avicii, right, the numbers aren't explosive. Like 5,000 cards, 5,000 cards are nothing, right? Where is it? Yeah, 5,000 cards is nothing. 1 million in card spends is no volume at all. Like, it's no significant volume. But the reason why people are behind them right now and still bidding at a time, and let me see if I can find the volume indicator on this. Like, look at this, guys, right? Despite a downturn, look at the green candles. They are almost double at these ranges, right? Look at the buy volume here. And so for a project which is kind of trading at about $80 million, right, with no insider unlocks, this is actually very, very cool. So I want you to go back, go explore MetaDAO. I think the Meta token itself, like, let me just go and open the Meta token. So Meta USDT and Meta. Yeah. Okay. No, it's not this. Sorry. So Meta USD. Let's see if we can find it. No worries. I'll find it here for you guys. So, like, the cool thing about MetaDAO is they have been able to find a niche for themselves in this space. They're currently trading at 130 million at $5.88, right? And if you look at this chart, guys, everything is falling and they're doing pretty well. They're settled. This is the good floor for this. So I think the future of ICOs are back. And I think projects like MetaDAO are positioned to do like really, really well here. Some of the catalysts that are working for them is that ICOs are back. Coinbase recently acquired Echo. Coinbase concluded a huge ICO for Monad, right? I think they raised north of 200 million, almost 190 million, and this is in a market like this, right? And so here is something which is completely on chain, right? So what I'd suggest is you keep a close tab on MetaDAO, and you also keep a close tab on all of the narratives that are basically propping up on the MetaDAO ecosystem. There's been a bunch of different, projects which have raised money on MetaDAO, and all of them have raised millions more than what their target fundraise was. So Solomon recently raised, Umbra is doing pretty well. You have a bunch of others as well. And so, in a market with such a collapse of liquidity, you have liquidity kind of still finding its way into the top projects. So, I think at $82, $83 million and at $130 million FDV, both Avici and MetaDAO are excellent projects, guys. This is all I wanted to discuss today. In a later video that I'm going to release this week, I will talk at length about what's really happening broadly in the crypto market. What are the trades that I'm looking at? To be honest, I'm not taking any trades right now. I'm just kind of sitting back, observing the market, trying to figure what my entries are. But I did take a lot of short positions. I opened a short position in Zcash. I opened a short position right at the top at 700. And I think all of this narrative around privacy is just like complete a bag of shit. This is a full blown insider play where a group has decided to pump this token, and that's now unwinding. So my feeling is Zcash is going to perform much worse before it starts performing better. I'm not saying, it's not a comment on whether or not we need privacy. Of course we do. But Zcash has been around for 12 years. What has suddenly changed? Why has it become a better project than Bitcoin? So don't believe in all of these things. Stay long term in your approach. Don't go crazy with leverage. That's it, guys. That was my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I made this video after a long time, so I'm happy. I'm going to do more. I think I'm going to record one almost every single day. But this was it, guys. I hope you had fun, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. See you. Sayonara.